This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Copy Chief Radio. And this time is something special, something we don't normally do. Last week, we had Aaron Crocker sharing the 5 hard and fast rules for fitness reports that convert. And it was getting so good that I told Kevin, keep it going. And we split it into 2 parts. Part 2 is coming at you today, where Aaron's going to share his last couple rules for fitness reports that convert. So let's jump back in to Kevin Rogers and Aaron Crocker.
Okay, so rule number 3 now is about story, one of our favorite topics. So tell us about how to use powerful, multi-stepped, meaningful story in all this emotion.
Well, before we begin to get into that, when I work with personal trainers, gym owners who have tried to do marketing on their own, it's always the same problem, Kevin. There are some mistakes to avoid, and the number one mistake to avoid is the curse of knowledge. Oftentimes, these guys have spent years, honing their craft, and they have a love for it, and they have a genuine passion to help people. And that just means that they have this emotional need to get out all this knowledge, and the customer's not ready for it. And so when they write a blog and it falls flat, or they write a Facebook post and it doesn't go anywhere, or when they put together a Facebook ad and nobody responds and their costs go up, they become frustrated. Well, listen. Any idea that's expressed only intellectually is just an essay, right? If they wanted to be back in college, they'd enter school. But when you wrap your education in an emotion, much like my prior example, right, then it becomes memorable, right? Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, answers don't mean anything if it's not dramatized. If you can't pull them into your story, your answer's never going to get read, right? So here's my number one advice to all these guys. Don't write what you want to write. Write what they want to read. And if that's usually the biggest paradigm shift I give people. You can't bore people into reading. You can't hype people into believing. And you can't trick people into staying, much like the clickbait, headlines, right? Mm-hmm. You certainly don't want to trick people into reading your stuff. You want to give them a good, solid reason. So how do you do it, right? How do you tell a powerful, multi-step, meaningful story wrapped in deep emotion? Well, here's how I do it. I do my best to instantly place a hero, one of my clients, right, in deep trouble, and draw the reader into the story. And these are real life examples. These are not made up, all right? And so I will start with a copy example that puts the client or the hero in a deep trouble, right? I don't know how you'd feel if your doctor told you this. Your blood's not even red anymore. It's pink from all the fat mixed in with it. But I can tell you how Rick Stembridge felt, a type 2 diabetic. He feared he was going to die before his time. So if you're overweight, if you're a diabetic, and if you're lethargic, you're probably going, if you're reading this at all, that should at least speak and resonate with you on some level, right?
Yeah. And what I love is the visual there is, first of all, you have an authority, the doctor saying your blood is not even red anymore. It's pink from all the fat mixed in with it. I don't know if that's possible.
It is possible.
Oh my God. And so, again, now you've just introduced a new fear into me. And I don't even have to be grossly overweight to have this fear. If I know if I'm supposed to be watching my cholesterol or I've been eating way more fat than I would normally want to, I can't help but wonder, damn it, is my blood pink right now?
Yeah.
It's so, that is really powerful. Good stuff.
Before we move on, I actually thought about putting up a picture of two different vials of blood. One with red blood, and the other one with blood just coagulated in it, and show that difference. But yeah, it's absolutely true. Right?
Yeah, that would be powerful to see the visual too, for sure. Remove any doubt.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
What's next?
Now we are number 3 in the opening paragraphs.
Yeah. So expanding on the opening paragraphs, right? So we've just introduced our hero, right? And he was in deep trouble, right? But we don't want to let the reader off the hook yet. We want to kind of mix in some more science like we did with the Dr. Warburg story. And we want to use this opportunity to kind of educate them, but we've got to keep the emotional tension high to keep readership high, right? So here's how it continued. And for good reason, too. Because according to his doctor, if something didn't change soon, Rick wasn't going to live very long. Rick, do you know what triglycerides are? Triglycerides are a type of fat found in your blood. You need some triglycerides for good health. But beyond a certain amount, your blood begins to coagulate. Normal triglyceride levels should be under 150. Borderline's 150 to 199. Highest 200 to 499. Very highest 500 or more. Rick, your triglyceride count is 2,000. Your blood is so thick, it's essentially molasses. Listen, your blood's not even red anymore. It's pink from all the fat mixed in with it. To complicate matters, you're not managing your type 2 diabetes well at all. If you don't change your diet and start exercising right now, you're not going to live very long.
Oh, man. That's great. So now to be clear, did you use that quote previously and then you gave the full context of the quote?
That's correct.
In this story. I love it. Folks, I got to tell you, I'm excited when I call you folks. But, sometimes the art of writing gets lost in all this copywriting because we're so focused on the sale, we forget to be good writers. Aaron Crocker is a great writer. This is a great lesson in how to write great copy because it requires great writing, and that requires understanding the emotions of the person you're writing to. So I'm geeking out here, Aaron. This is great stuff. Let's go to number 4.
All right. So we've just expanded on the problem, but now we want to keep the drama high to keep the reader sucked into the copy because we're not ready to let our hero off the hook yet. So the story continues. Triglycerides off the chart, type 2 diabetes, deadly eating habits, and a lack of exercise all combined to create a potential death sentence for Rick and a potential catastrophe for his family. Left alone, his condition had the power to turn Rick into a fading memory, a mere statistic, one of the 1 million Americans who will be killed by a clogged circulatory system this year. Who knows? Rick may have been one of the fortunate ones who survived such an episode. His thick, sluggish blood flow may have only triggered a mild heart attack or stroke, leaving him alive, but facing potential paralysis or diminished mental abilities. Or, if he was really lucky, he may have escaped with a diagnosis of high blood pressure, reduced testosterone levels, and mild depression, sentencing him to a lifetime of drugs that carry their own unfortunate side effects.
Ramping up the peril, entering new dynamics into the mix. No good options yet on the horizon.
No, and the other part of it is I wanted to continue to keep the tension high and try. My thought process during writing this was, what else is the reader possibly going through? What else can I speak to that they might personally resonate with? Right. And then finally, at some point in time, the personal trainer, the gym owner, the writer has to bring about a solution. And we have to show that the gym then is the solution to this big problem. So here's how we did it for this gym. But now, what was once a clogged artery system flows freely again, because a few months ago, Rick consulted with his doctor and announced that he was going to give Iron Tribe Fitness a try. His doctor did blood work on the spot. Then a few months later, he went back to his doctor for a follow-up visit. His doctor was shocked by his results. He had successfully undone years of damage caused by a sedentary lifestyle and deadly eating habits. Just listen to what his gleeful doctor had to say. I don't know what you've been doing, but keep it up. Since the 1st of May, your A1C levels have dropped from as high as 9 to an average of 5. Your sugar levels used to average 176 to 220 on a daily basis and are now 80 to 115. And amazingly, your triglycerides have plummeted from 2,000 to 132. Congratulations, Rick. You're not a diabetic. You're no longer a diabetic. You can stop taking your medication. And to hear Rick tell his side of the story, I was literally at death's door. I went from taking 7 pills a day to 0, and now I plan to live to be 100. It's incredible. I feel 1,000,000 times better, and I can't wait to get to Iron Tribe.
Oh, man. It's so good. And so this is for a local gym to increase membership, yeah?
That is correct. Actually, I've written multiple reports for them, but we wrote this particular report. This is one story in a booklet that has about about 60 pages in it, and it's just one story of 30 that I tell in this book.
Wow, man! So these are all real case studies from this gym owner, what he's able to do with his clients.
That's correct. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, as they say, great clients beget great writing, great work. And to have a resource like that, someone who is clearly very passionate about what they do and gets major results for his clients, it does not mean it's easy to write on this level, but it certainly makes it a lot more fun and, makes the resource bank pretty fun to walk through.
Yeah, and listen, to get this kind of detail requires a lot of you have to know the clients. I mean, you can't, again, back to my earlier point, you can't hype people into believing you, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to speak their story in a dramatic way.
And so you obviously interviewed every one of these people.
I did.
Wow.
And watched videos of their testimonies and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. It almost feels too good for its reach. I mean, y'all advertising should be as great as it can be. But what kind of effect has this had on Iron Tribe?
Well, Iron Tribe has gone from a single garage gym hobby, literally started off as an experiment in the backyard of the gentleman that I started my fitness together franchise with. Right, he was my partner. He's the partner that I sold all my shares to go into copywriting. His name's Forrest Walden, and Forrest started Iron Tribe, and he called me and he asked me to come and become his marketing director for the first couple of years, which I did. So what started as a garage gym hobby 6 years later now is a 55-unit franchise.
Wow. 55 units. And so, lots more great case studies, and he's obviously able to keep up the value of those gyms. And it's, one feeds the other. You got a guy who's passionate, getting real results. You got a guy like you who's writing about it passionately, emotionally. And, would people show up to Iron Tribe to, have a free session or have an eval or whatever the offer is that gets them in the door, they're excited. They're probably very emotional. I bet there's a lot of tears in those first meetings, my guess is, because this is like come to Jesus stuff right here, Aaron. This is not, like you said, a practical exchange of ideas. This is about, are you finally ready to do something? Do you recognize this? What's at stake here? Great stuff. Aaron, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on, sharing this. This is turned into a two-parter on us, and I'm really glad it did, because this is some of the best stuff that we've shared on the show. So really appreciate it. And let's do it again, huh?
I appreciate you, and thank you kindly for your warm, kind words. And listen, Copy Chief is the bomb, man. For those people out there who are listening to this and you haven't joined Copy Chief, correct that grievous error.
Get yourself straight. Thanks, buddy.
All right,
Jonathan, this was good stuff, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So where can people find out more about you, Aaron?
So, Jonathan, that is my one Achilles heel. All right, I'm in the shadows. I'm behind the curtain, much like the Wizard of Oz. Right, I'm behind the curtain, pulling levers, but no one knows my name. No one knows I exist. I don't even have a website up. And so, if they would like to contact me, they can find me on Facebook. Aaron Crocker on Facebook in Birmingham, Alabama. Or you can send me an email at my primary email address at aaroncrocker@mac.com. That's AARONCROCKER@mac.com.
Awesome. Good stuff.
And of course, if you want to really get to know Aaron and hear more of his brilliance, you can join Copy Chief, because I think it's the only place he shares it. So we're very privileged.
That's right. I will say this, if you don't mind the shameless plug, I am beginning to work closely with Eric Ruth. This is the gentleman that got me involved in copywriting all those years ago. And he and I are getting ready to put together a personal training style course for this kind of writing. And we'll walk people through it.
Well, certainly keep us up to date on that, and we'll update the listeners, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest.
Yeah, if they want to check out Eric Ruth, they can find him at ericruth.com and contact him on my behalf if they'd like.
Great. Is it ERIC or K?
No, ERIC, yeah.
Okay, Eric Ruth. Awesome. All right, Jonathan.
Boom. That's a wrap for the second part of this episode. So thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Chiefs, for tuning in, and we'll be back in your earbuds next time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate everything.
You've been listening to Copy Chief Radio. Thank you for tuning in. If you're digging what we are laying down for you, then your next step is to go over to iTunes, type in Copy Chief Radio into the search bar, and when you find the show, subscribe. We will be back in your earbuds next week.
This is the podcastfactory.com.